Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, is brought to you by AT&T. Academy, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
For the 12th straight year, the bright lights of Sunday Night Football will shine down upon the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles as the two bitter rivals meet in a NFC East clash in a battle for first place at CenturyLink Field up in Pennsylvania. Welcome in to Cowboys Pregame Live. Kyle Yeomans alongside Barry Church, Mr. Isaiah Stanback. We've got Nate Newton and Danny Surratt coming up later in the show as well. And the Cowboys coming in at 2-5. You put all the disappointment aside. You put the slow starts to the side. Bottom line is there's a battle for first place on the line tonight against the team there is a ton of disdain with.
Yeah, look, guys, I don't think it's breaking news to anybody up here, but this is a must-win game for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, look. Coming into the season, nobody thought this was going to happen. We didn't think we were going to lose our two all-pro tackles, our all-pro quarterback. Our defense was going to play dazed and confused for the majority part of the season. But look, even with all that said, all our goals and aspirations, they're still there. We're only a half a game out of first place. And look, we got to come to this game prepared. It's Sunday night. It's primetime football. I mean, where else would you rather be, Isaiah?
Man, listen here. At the end of the day, you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And everybody knows in Cowboys Nation, you can't stand those birds, right? Mm-hmm. So if they want to go in there and smack those guys in the mouth, at the end of the day, that is what it is. It's this battle. It is an NFC divisional rival. And it just so happens to be that, you guys, there's two terrible teams at the moment that are playing for first place. But guess what? You're still playing for first place. And that's all that matters, an opportunity to go to the playoffs. We need to win this game. These guys need to show up and ball out.
We saw the standings just a couple moments ago. First time in NFL history that through week 7, a single division hasn't had a team with more than 2 wins. And the fact that everything's still on the table, of course, Cowboys fans are not necessarily happy at the moment, and nor should you be at 2-5. But right now, if you're a player, you're looking ahead, and Ezekiel Elliott, I thought, said it very well earlier this.
Obviously, the record is not what you need it to be. The defense needs to step it up. The offense needs to step it up. But overall, all your goals are still there. You can still represent the NFC East in the playoffs this year. You just got to handle your business, and it starts tonight in Philadelphia.
Yeah, there's a philosopher by the name of The Rock who said, it doesn't matter what it is, all right? It doesn't matter what the records are right now. Again, you're playing for first place. That is your goal when you come into camp. Play and win your division. After you win your division, then you go on the playoffs, and then you start taking it week by week. Everything that they want, regardless of the past, is right in front of them. Fix your eyes on the prize, fellas. Let's go to work.
Win tonight would go a long way in doing so. They're going to have to do it in a very wet and chilly CenturyLink Field up in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. Nick Eatman's out there right now setting the scene for us. Nick, how's it going up there?
Thank you, Kyle. And yes, we're here at Lincoln Financial Field, and reminds me a little bit of last week where it did rain all day in Washington and rained throughout the game, but it did rain for a little bit here. But in pregame, I think it's going to stop. It is going to be cold and windy. We'll see how that plays out in the game when the Cowboys take on the Eagles. Of course, the biggest storyline you guys have already talked about, and we'll continue to talk about, the quarterback, Ben Denucci. He's going to make his first NFL start here, and the Cowboys are certainly going to have to help him throughout the game, whether it be running some different formations and try to trick it up, if you will. Jerry Jones was asked on the radio what he likes about Halloween, and he says he loves Halloween. He likes the tricks. I think he was referring to trick plays. Maybe we'll see a few of those, but at some point, Ben Denucci's going to have to make some plays as the quarterback. I mean, that's his job, and I think he's ready for it. We're about to find out just how ready he is. But one thing earlier in the day, right before they were getting on the bus, one of the Cowboys staffers, part of the football staff, says, "Let's go, Ben. You ready to go? You ready to get this done tonight?" And he says, "Of course." So he has that kind of moxie about him a little bit. There's an old adage in football, really just in life, about people that just don't know what they don't know. Maybe they're just not ready to understand the situation. And, for Ben Denucci, he doesn't know that he's not supposed to be here at this point in his career. He's not supposed to be starting his first game on Sunday Night Football. But you know what? He doesn't really care. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, we're about to find out. Kyle, back to you.
Thank you very much, Nick. And, of course, Ben Denucci in his home state making his debut as a 7th-round rookie. Nate Newton, 6-time Pro Bowler, joining us here at the desk. And, Nate, whenever you look at Ben Denucci, he's a rookie quarterback. Well, it helps out the fact that he's got an experienced offensive line in front of him. That hasn't been the case the last couple weeks. However, they do get Zach Martin back. How huge is that to have Zach Martin back in the fold after his concussion a couple weeks ago?
All-pro presence, a guy that plays with a passion for the game, but he's always calm. He's always lining up. He knows what his guy's supposed to do. He'll keep a calm to that. If something chaotic happened during the game, he'll be able to calm them young guys down and lead them to a good game.
And then you also add in the fact that Joe Looney is back in the mix. Now, Tyler Biadasz has done a nice job overall at the center spot. Joe Looney, though, is activated after being off of IR the last couple of weeks. But now, whenever you look at maybe the battle at center, do you expect Joe Looney to play, or you stick with the rookie?
It don't matter at this point. I mean, but Biadasz just came in and showed that he can call the protections when they change the plays. Same with Looney. He's a veteran guy. It's about now, do you want to go with experience, or do you want to give a guy some experience? And that's what it's about right about now.
Does it change the fact that you have a backup quarterback, a third-string quarterback, and even a rookie back there as well on maybe some of the decision-makings you have up front?
I tell you this right here. Looney's going to give you the more experience. He's seen a bunch of different more defensive formations. Biadasz has come in and done a good job of calling those protections. This guy has to be protected, so you may want to go with a veteran guy. But like I say, and these guys alluded to earlier, this ain't like we going for, a Super Bowl run here just for first place over the bad division.
It is a bad division, but at the same time, you got to take advantage of these wins like this. And the inactives, we've talked about the actives. Here's the inactives in terms of who's not playing for the Dallas Cowboys this week. And, of course, you do also get Sean Lee back in the fold. And there you see a couple of those names up there. Luke Gifford up at the top of the screen. You've also got a couple guys in there that we kind of expected to be in the mix. But overall, this is an inactive list that we've kind of looked at before. But what about Sean Lee specifically and what he brings to the table defensive-wise that you haven't necessarily had with some of those linebackers?
Understand this. Sean Lee will bring a veteran presence of a guy that can line guys up. You see a lot of guys running around confused, can't make the plays. Sean Lee will be able to line guys up and give your defense a chance from the snap to make plays.
And then also you look on the defensive side of the football, the way that there's been miscommunication issues, is this something that is going to fix those communication issues pretty early on?
Yes. I mean, if he's in there, he's probably going to be on the snap count. He'll probably do no more than probably about 20 plays. But those 20 plays that you're in there, understand you will be lined up in the right place, and he will give you to each formation. He'll probably call out a few runs or a few passes. Whatever he think may be coming, Sean Lee will call it out.
First time this year that Sean Lee has been active, and first time we're going to see number 7 back behind center on the offensive side of the football. But who is Ben Denucci? 7th-round draft pick, and looking to become the first 7th-round draft pick to win an NFL game in his rookie season since 1994. Of course, drafted out of James Madison, played his final collegiate game 4 miles down the road at the home of FC Dallas at Toyota Stadium. Well, now he's got a chance to make a mark in his rookie season, starting at quarterback. Danny Sarek has more.
In a matter of just 2 short weeks, Ben Denucci has gone from third string to starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys after a season-ending ankle injury to Dak Prescott and a concussion to Andy Dalton. The Cowboys drafted Denucci in the 7th round of this year's draft out of James Madison with no intention of ever having him see the field. Denucci says he even never expected he would play this year when he was drafted by the Cowboys. In fact, if you would have told him just a few months ago he'd be starting for this team, he says you would have had to pinch him. After a week of first-team reps, Denucci says he's feeling confident and ready to go in this week's game.
Biggest thing for me is I got to keep the chains moving, get the ball in our playmakers' hands. It's pretty easy when you look out there to your left and you've got, Michael Gallup, and then to your right you've got CD and Amari Cooper, and you got Zeke to the left of you in the shotgun. So pretty extensive group of playmakers on the outside. So for me, I think my job is going to be to get the ball in these guys' hands, let them do what they do best, keep the chains moving, try to stay out of 3rd and longs, and convert, put some points on the board, and we'll see what happens from there.
Denucci is expected to make his first start for the Cowboys Sunday night against the Eagles in a divisional matchup. Up until this point, he's only thrown 3 times in an NFL game. However, after a week full of first-team reps, Denucci's teammates say they've been quite impressed with what they've seen so far.
Ben's been nothing but a pro. I think what Ben brings to a table is, a young guy with a lot of arm talent, and then I think what else he can do that people don't realize, he can run a little bit, so he'll be able to get outside the pocket and make some plays.
Been slinging that thing. He been slinging that thing. He been good, he comes over there after, every period that we got, and he's like, my job's actually pretty easy. I just got to get you through the ball and, let y'all go to work.
Denucci says he also received words of encouragement from the Cowboys' expected starting quarterback for the year, Dak Prescott.
I kind of just walked up to him and said, hey, this isn't what you said my rookie year was going to be like. He laughed and gave me a hug and just said, we've talked about this. Go out there, do you, take completions, trust the guys around you. You'll be great. Don't overthink it. Football is football. It's a game I've been playing for, since 7th grade. So not going to try to make it any more than it is.
Offensive coordinator Gallimore says it's important Denucci looks his teammates in the eyes in the huddle and encourages them and calls plays with confidence, because that's what players respond well to. In a wild turn of events, because, hey, that's what 2020 is all about, Ben Denucci has what he calls the opportunity of a lifetime, being promoted from third string to starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and making his first career NFL start. Kyle.
Ben Denucci obviously knows the history at quarterback for this franchise, taking a look at some of the notable starting rookie quarterbacks that the Cowboys have seen over the years. But you look at some of these big-time names, of course, Dak Prescott, the last one to do it back in 2016, even Jason Garrett in 1993, Troy Aikman in 1989. However, there hasn't been a whole lot of success for these rookie quarterbacks. You see there, Roger Staubach, the only quarterback to start and finish the game with a win as a rookie for the Dallas Cowboys. So even with all of the big-time names on there, still hasn't been a ton of success. You look at the tough sledding for rookies and backups lately for the Dallas Cowboys. Backup since 2007, now 7-22 after last week. 3-10 record for rookies as a starter for the Dallas Cowboys at quarterback. And then also, not to mention, the last one to win his debut was Drew Henson back in 2004. So it's been a long time, but what are the expectations for Ben Denucci?
Look, for me, my expectations for Ben, they're not extremely high. Like, I don't see this guy going out there being Peyton Manning, barking commands at the line of scrimmage or checking audibles at the line of scrimmage. But what I would love to see from this guy is, how does he take command of the huddle? How does he react when things don't go as planned? How does he go about his business out there, and how does he basically entrench himself in this offense? I think he can have a good job out there. He's athletic. He has the ability to go out there and make plays with his feet. So I'm excited to see what this guy has.
Ben Denucci needs to go out there and have fun, right? And he needs to go out there and just simply have fun. You guys heard him mention it before. It's the same game he's been playing since 7th grade. These guys just might be a little bit bigger. And there's three things that I think he needs to focus on. I think he needs to, number one, he needs to be poised. Number two, he needs to make good decisions, right? He doesn't have to try to force plays, just let things come to him. And then number three, he has to be able to handle the peaks and valleys, right? He has to handle the peaks and valleys. As a quarterback, no matter I don't care if you're a rookie, I don't care if you're a veteran, there's going to be highs in the game, there's going to be lows in the game. He needs to be able to stay as consistent, as steadfast as possible, and I think he would be just fine.
Now, whenever you look at it from a coaching staff standpoint as well, you're going to get a chance to evaluate him. What do you want to learn about Ben Denucci, even with some of the injuries that surround him and the situation that he's been thrown into?
Well, like I said, I want to learn what he can do when things aren't going his way. How is he going to be a leader on that field? Because even though he's a rookie out there, these guys are going to be looking to him. He's the quarterback. These offensive linemen, these receivers, these running backs are going to be looking at him when things don't go good. How does he take command of that huddle? How does he right the ship and get them going in the right direction? I think he'll have a tough task today with Philadelphia and that defense coming after him, but hey, he's a rookie, and maybe he'll be able to do what we haven't been able to do since week one, and that's play turnover-free football. So if he can do that, get Zeke, get him out of this funk, I think we might have a chance. Small chance, but I think we got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, to my point earlier, just poise, right? It's huge. As a quarterback in this league, as a quarterback in general, everybody's eyes and attention is on you, right? And they're going to be looking to see exactly how you respond to situations. And he has to be able to, again, remain consistent in everything that he does. He doesn't need to just go out there and try to be the guy that's making all these big, crazy plays. Get him out the pocket, let him get comfortable, let him do what he does, right, and continue to build his confidence up as he continues to build his confidence up in his players.
He was the Offensive Player of the Year last year in his FCS conference, but now you look at it from a play calling standpoint with Kellen Moore. What changes from a play calling standpoint, and a guy who actually might be the most mobile quarterback you have to work for?
I think it'll be night and day. I mean, when Dak went down and Andy had to step in, you had a 10-year veteran in there who's seen pretty much all the defenses out there, so you didn't really have to dial it back or kind of slim up the playbook. Right now, you got a guy in Denucci, he's a 7th-round draft pick, no OTAs, no preseason games, and he's thrust into the lineup because of injuries. So for me, going out there, he's going to have to pretty much slim down that playbook. Hopefully during the week, they were doing stuff that he felt comfortable out there doing. Maybe some of the stuff that he was productive with in James Madison. Maybe they can incorporate that a little bit into the playbook. But you got to do what's comfortable for him so you can get the most production out of him.
Get him moving.
There it is.
Get him moving. Do not expect him to come in here and sit in the pocket. Don't try to force him to sit in the pocket. He's most comfortable, and it's pretty obvious when he's on the move, right? And you hear everybody talking about he has a gun. He can sling this thing around. He has some good top end speed. Get this guy in the move, because one thing that we know that he hasn't had enough reps with the receiver, so his timing's not going to be there, right? We also know that this O-line is banged up a little bit. We also know that Jim Schwartz is going to be bringing pressure all day long. So with all those unknowns, all those things that are going to be coming at him, get him moving, because the potential for the offensive line to be able to block their guys on the move is a lot easier. The potential for receivers to get open and him be able to deliver the ball is a lot easier. And the opportunity for the blitz to be able to get to him when he's on the move is not as high of a percentage. So get him on the move, let him get comfortable. He also can make some plays with his legs.
Well, and he even said earlier in the week that he likes to make plays with his legs early because he feels like it gets him in a bit of a rhythm. It gets him in a groove a little bit. Now let's hear from the guy who actually is going to be calling those plays and how maybe opening up the playbook could benefit them this week in Kellen Moore.
Yeah, obviously we got to recognize our team and put ourselves in the best situation, hopefully to be successful. Guys are on this team for a reason because we believe in them, and we got to give them an opportunity to go play their best football. And hopefully during the week we can find that the best way to do that. And we just got to prepare the right way, keep going at this thing, find a solution. And if guys just keep their head down, keep working through this thing, we're gonna find something. We're gonna find it, and we're gonna find it and get this thing going.
Kellen, not too long ago, you were in this situation that Ben was coming in, potentially starting, and you've started your 2 games there in 2015. What's the mindset you had then as a player, and how do you translate that to Ben to say, hey, just go play?
Yeah, I think it's go play, trust yourself, but you got to have a great week of prep. Obviously, it's different circumstances for Ben. He hasn't had a ton of reps with our starters, and so obviously lack of preseason. There's some unique circumstances with everything that's gone on. I think the biggest thing is just the communication and presence. You're going into a huddle with guys you probably haven't practiced a whole lot with. You got to have the command of it. You got to have great communication. Make sure all 11 are on the same page. Call that play confidently. Make your calls up at the line of scrimmage confidently, and come out of there, and people feel that. People feel that and respond well.
And short of max protecting every single time, what can you do to help the line and help and ultimately help the quarterback protect in situations?
Yeah. Obviously, there's a few different ways we can go about that. Obviously, bringing more guys into protection, or sending guys out and hopefully getting the ball out quicker. I think there's value to both, and obviously it's a balancing act of recognizing what puts us in the best situation to be successful. And I think the biggest thing for all that is we just got to be able to run the ball a little bit better, and we got to be able to build off of the run game into the action game and the play action game, and then everything else that comes off of that.
Building off the run game is absolutely going to pay a huge key in how successful this offense will be today against Philadelphia. Ezekiel Elliott, more scrimmage yards per game than any other player against Philadelphia in NFL history on average, and that's above guys like Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, some Hall of Fame names in that list, and Zeke's up on top of that list. Now, I feel like I've asked this a couple weeks in a row, couple games in a row. How much are the Cowboys going to have to rely on Ezekiel Elliott to have a big game today?
Look, I hope Zeke doesn't have any back problems, because I need him to carry this team and carry this offense. I mean, he needs to get the lion's share of this offense. If if it's turning around, handing the ball to him, throwing screens to him, little dink and dunk passes, whatever you can to get the ball in this guy's hand, you have to do it. One, it'll basically calm down that offense, and it'll calm down Ben Denucci. And 2, it'll they'll let that offensive line be the attackers. They'll let them impose their will on the Philadelphia defense instead of vice versa, like we've seen in the past where we're dropping back to pass 50 sometimes and an offensive line has to kick step. But for this part, you got to give him the ball, let him eat. So I hope he's hungry because his plate has got to be full today.
Barry, I'm going to go against you on this one.
Oh,
I know we're going to be on the same page,
respect,
man. But
respect.
I think you can only lean on him about as much as you can lean on a chicken wire fence. Right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the fence is there, you know what I mean? It has a presence, but it's not going to be as efficient as you would want it to be. Reason being, he has a rookie quarterback and he's going against probably one of the most aggressive defensive coordinators in the NFL. They are not going to allow Zeke to run the ball. They know the one consistent piece of this offense is Zeke, right? Or at least not of late. But if they were going to lean on anybody, it would be Zeke, right? So what are you going to do as a defensive coordinator, right? You know you're going to stack the box, you're going to bring the boys, and you're going to force this quarterback to not only call the right protections, but get the ball out accurately as well.
Now, at this point last season, he had already had 4 100-plus yard games. He's one of 2 players in the NFL that are in the top 13 rushers that haven't had a triple-digit game so far, along with Kareem Hunt. But you look at Zeke, and at what point, you have all the offensive line injuries. At what point, though, is it you got to take it to the next level? You're an all-pro back. You're supposed to be elite. When is it on him to get the job done?
I think it's been on him for the past couple weeks now. I mean, you can say all you want about the offensive line, but they're not turning the ball over. They're not fumbling the ball. They're not letting it bounce off their chest and creating interceptions. So for me, this guy's a top 5 back, and I still believe he can be one of the best backs in the NFL, but he's going to have to get out of this funk, and we're going to have to get back to the freaky Ezekiel of old ways if we're going to have any chance with this offense.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed about the fact that I haven't been able to call him freaky Zeke in 4 weeks, you know, but I mean, Zeke is who he is, right? He's still Zeke. He's a human being. Humans have errors, right? It's not something that you want to allow. It's not something that you want from your starting running back, your top 5 running back, but it is what it is. And it hasn't helped that we've had some woes at the offensive line position. You can't rely on your star back to be a star when he doesn't have consistency up front. These guys read blocks just like the quarterbacks rely on these tackles and stuff to be there. It just is the way that the offense has gone down in our passing game. It's the same thing that's happening in our running game. Why? The most consistent piece, the offensive line. Once that gets solid and once we get some kind of consistency there, then you'll start seeing the development from Zeke. But until then, these defensive coordinators are going to keep bringing these boys.
Mentioned how he hasn't hit the century mark this season. He hasn't hit the half-century mark in back-to-back games. He has to have a better day. And here's what Zeke had to say on some of the pressure that's on him and on the offense to perform today in Philly.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of 2020 summed up. Just being in this position is I think no one here was expecting being here. But you know, we can't really control what's happened up to this point. We have had a lot of injuries. You know, we haven't played the best in some games, but what we do know is that I think if we win this week, well, are we first in the division? So, I mean, we're still right where we need to be. We're still at a place where you know, we can make a run for the playoffs. And I think it's just on us, you know, taking all that adversity and handling that, and then kind of showing what we got and going out there and making the best of it. So, I mean, we got to figure something out fast, and we got to figure out, you know, we got to win this weekend. So, I mean, we can't have any excuses. It doesn't matter, you know, how many guys we have down. All we can worry about is just going out there with the guys we have and playing the best football we can and winning a football game.
The changes on the offensive line, I think there's been 8 or 9 combinations so far already this season. How does that affect you and what you see or what you trust in terms of, if you know Zach's there, he's going to do this, but I don't know McGovern as well. How does that impact you when it's so many different guys in and out?
So, I mean, there's a little bit less chemistry, but, I mean, we've been working really hard. You know, since the beginning of the season, I've told you guys, you know, we've been kind of rotating guys, moving guys around everywhere. And I think, you know, that the O-line coach and those O-linemen, that they've been doing, you know, it's a great job just moving around. And like you said, we've had 8 or 9 different combinations of linemen up there, and that can't be easy for them. But, I mean, I think they're doing their best to, you know, handle that. And, I mean, all we can do is, you know, keep doing our best.
While the pressure is certainly on Ezekiel Elliott to get the job done from a tailback perspective, he mentioned it himself, the fact that it's been a couple different combinations up in front of them on that offensive line. Both teams have had their struggles with injuries this season. Just a couple of the notable names, not even all the names, that are out tonight for both sides of the football whenever it comes to this NFC East battle. Dak Prescott, Andy Dalton, of course, the two quarterbacks. Then you've got Philly, who doesn't necessarily have a quarterback issue, but Miles Sanders, their top running back, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, two very good veteran wide receivers out, and then Zach Ertz, one of the top tight ends in the entire NFL, out as well, along with some of their offensive linemen. So both teams having their struggles on the injury front, but whenever it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, they had to make some changes at some point. Coming in with a 2-5 record, they needed to make a change on the defensive side of the football. That's exactly what they did this week, and Rob Phillips has more.
For the Cowboys defense, the theme this week has been change. Everson Griffin traded to Detroit. Dontari Poe and Daryl Worley released. 3 veteran offseason additions no longer on the roster. But as the defense seeks improvement, they're also about to get help from familiar faces. Up front, look for a larger role for Randy Gregory at defensive end and outside linebacker. In his season debut, Gregory played only 6 snaps against Washington. Without Griffin, there are more snaps to go around. Gregory is just getting back to football after a 1.5-year suspension, but the Cowboys have seen the same natural pass rush skills that made him a second-round pick back in 2015. At linebacker, Leighton Vander Esch played a full snap count last week for the first time since the middle of 2019. Back from September collarbone surgery, he tied for the lead in tackles against Washington. He and Jalen Smith have been a productive tandem when both are healthy. Sean Lee's eventual return from injured reserve will also help the depth. And with Chido Awuzie on his way back from a hamstring injury, the cornerback position will also receive an upgrade. Sunday's opponent, the Eagles, are as banged up as Dallas. But Carson Wentz and the Philly offense are still finding ways to put points on the board with different combinations of players. The secondary has to limit big plays. So far, 7 over 40 yards allowed in 7 games. Some might say at 2-5, parting ways with 3 veteran players is proof that the rest of the season outlook is bleak. But technically, the Cowboys are just a half game out of first place. Mike McCarthy trying to put his stamp on the program. It starts with continuing to fight through these challenges. And for the defense, there is help on the way. A silver lining as the Cowboys try to salvage their season. For DallasCowboys.com, I'm Rob Phillips.
It certainly wasn't the offseason that was expected for the Cowboys and some of their veteran free agent signings that they made. Of course, it started in training camp with Gerald McCoy and the injury that happened on the first day of practice, really, the first day of pads. He was knocked out with the injury. Then you had Clinton Dix, who didn't make the cut heading into week 1 of the regular season. Everson Griffin traded this week. Dontari Poe and Daryl Worley both cut, and then Maurice Kennedy, a veteran corner, not with the team really from the get-go. So now that you look back, and of course early there was a lot of expectations bringing in these veteran guys, what did you guys think of the moves the Cowboys made this week?
Well, I think it was time to happen. I think the guys that they brought in there, the veteran free agents that they brought in, they were here to do a specific job, and they weren't able to do that at a high level. So it was time to move on. So when you get to this point, who do you lean to? Who do you kind of look to get this defense going in the right direction? And to me, it's not one specific guy. It's not one guy you can go to and say, hey, you got to lead us in the right direction. Which way are we going here? I think it's the whole defense. They need to get together, starters, backups, the backups to the backups. They need to all get together and decide what type of defense do they want to be. Do they want to continue to go out here and show this lackluster performance, no effort, and just missing tackles out there? Or do they want to be a part of something special, something that can turn this team around and turn this season around? I think each individual player is going to have to look in the mirror and decide how hard they're going to willing to play for this coach and for this defense.
Everson Griffin, nice find. I think he played okay. Couldn't really fit into the scheme. Dontari Poe didn't try. Did not give the right effort for a veteran. When you're this late in your career, coaches don't only bring you in as a player, but they bring you in as a guy that can help motivate the young guys and get them going in the right direction. Worley, I can't speak much on the secondary, but we saw, you just heard 7 games, 40 yards, 7 40-yard throws. That can't happen. What you have to do as a defense, man, is lead this team and make some plays. You got young players coming in on the offensive end that need a burst. We got young guys like Gregory that's coming back. We got Bradley Arnay that's coming in here, trying to do something. We got Terrence Armstrong to get some more reps. And like you said, as a team, they have to get together, be one, and play hard.
You mentioned some of the names, and of course, Barry, you just talked about the fact that you are going to have some guys that need to step up in the absence of the cuts that were made. Who are some of the guys that stick out to you that need to play well this week?
I'm going to have to go with Neville Gallimore on this one. This is a guy who's shown that he has that high motor. He can go out there and he can disrupt the passer and the run game. And I just want to see with these guys, with the veteran free agents gone now, his reps should increase a little bit. And I want to see what type of pressure he can apply on the quarterback, how he can do in the run game. And I think this is a time for him to step up and be a part of this defense.
And I agree. And Antoine Woods, you back started, my friend. Tyrone Crawford, it's been a couple of weeks. We need for you to get back to your old self and lead these young guys, man. And Neville, hey, my man. We got you from Oklahoma, baby. Up north, come on, bring that heat, man.
Up north, he's a Canadian-born player as well, so he has that kind of up north in him as well. But whenever you look at these guys and the young shots that you have and the rookies that are going to get a chance to play today, Ben Denucci mentioned it. It's a top-notch organization, of course, with the star on the side of the helmet, but you got to take advantage when you do, and some of these rookies are going to have a ton of advantages tonight.
Oh, this is huge. I mean, you never want to see somebody get hurt. You never want to get your job that way by somebody getting hurt, but this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Like you said, this is the opportunity to have the star on the side of your helmet and start. This is prime time Sunday NFL football, prime time, and you're going against your division rival for first place in NFC East. There's no other place you would rather be, and these guys need to step up, not only for themselves, but for this team to have success.
Just line up in your position, know what your responsibilities is, and then just cut loose.
That's it.
If they just cut loose and have fun, you guys have been talking about it the whole show, you and stand back. Just have fun. I mean, I want to explode for these guys, but I'm too old, man. just have fun. I've been waiting on this day, for us to get rid of the older guys and give these young guys opportunity, give our fan base something to look forward to. Because Poe, Worley, whoever, they was not doing it for us. Now you got that star on the side of your helmet. You can light up the sky, man. You can shoot off like firecrackers, my friend.
It is a rivalry game, and you're going to learn a lot about this team and some of the young pieces that they've had. You mentioned it with Neville Gallimore letting it loose. He's going to have a chance to do that. He's only had 100-plus snaps career-wise, and he's had 4 pressures on those. Here's what he had to say about some of the adjustment period that he's had to endure as a rookie.
Just having an opportunity to be out there and compete, it was definitely a learning experience for me. I gotta be better. It's hard to win in this league, but then most importantly, technique is a big deal. For me, that's just something I'm trying to get better at, and I'm just gonna continue to get better and make sure what happened last game doesn't happen anymore.
What do you think about the opportunities you've been getting here the last couple of weeks, and how do you continue to grow?
It's been great, obviously, again, just having the guys in the room to help me out, but, I'm here for a reason. They got me here for a reason, so it's my opportunity to step up, and I have that chance now, and, again, just taking day by day, a lot of the progression that doesn't happen overnight. It's just about making sure I focus on the little things and just keeping my head down and trying to get better.
I know you want to play, but there was a couple of weeks where you were, sitting down. How beneficial was that just to watch things and maybe even talk to some of the veteran players?
Extremely beneficial. Again, it's really cool just for the fact, obviously coming from where I play ball at college, kind of being like, fastest, stronger than everybody, that being around guys where, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the strongest, but just having a great group of guys who, been through the process and know what it takes, and just kind of leaning on them, understanding, again, how I can be, beneficial to the team by just doing my part, not having to do too much, but just doing my job the best way I know how.
And, of course, playing with fire on the defensive side of the football is going to be crucial today for the Cowboys defense, but you also got to get the offense going a little bit. And last week, the receivers were not necessarily impressive. Isaiah Stan back with us. And Isaiah, whenever you look at the wide receivers last week, Amari Cooper, the only wideout with multiple catches, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup didn't have any receptions in that loss against Washington. What are some things that they have to do in order to have more success today against Philly?
the guys, they had to focus. Number one, they got to focus, right? And there's a couple things that were going on last week when we had a case of the dropsies last week, as I like to refer to it as. And number one is when guys are coming across, we're running a lot of crossing routes, right? We're running a lot of like under routes as these blitzers are starting to come across. And one thing as a receiver that you start to really kind of hone in on is when you're going to a zone defense, you want to get your eyes ahead of your route. So if I'm running a route, okay, if I'm running a route and I'm looking ahead, I see guys going out of my picture, I'm looking forward, right? I want to see exactly, is there somebody sitting there waiting on me, or is there somebody where it's free and I can catch the ball and go? So as you saw last week, as you're coming across a zone, you see a zone pressure and you're like, oh no, there's a guy right there. Your eyes get a little big. Your focus leaves this thing right here and it goes on the man right there that could take your head off, right? That's number one. Number two,
I wouldn't take your head off. Don't worry.
I appreciate
I wouldn't
you.
get in.
That's a fine, by the way.
Yeah, that's
fine.
probably exactly right. Yeah.
But the other thing is, guys get a case of the ooh-wee is what I like to call it, right? So whenever there's zone blitz and there's a lot of pressure going, when you're running your route, you've beat your man. Your man is now behind you, right? My man's behind me. I've already beat him. So now I have nothing but opportunity ahead of me. So I get that ooh-wee, I get them ooh-wee eyes, and I start looking ahead. I start thinking about what the opportunity I have going ahead of me versus making sure that I secure the catch. So these guys have to take their time, secure the catch, take care of business first, and then worry about trying to make plays after that.
And you're going up against the number 7 passing defense in the NFL in Philadelphia. Kind of an underrated passing defense, the way that they're able to cover. What have you seen on film this week that the Cowboys might be able to exploit with those trio of receivers?
Yeah, well, these guys got to get off the ball. They got to get off the ball. You know, Kyle, I mean, they're going to bring pressure. Jim Schwartz, we know, especially against a rookie quarterback in Ben Denucci, he is going to bring it. He's going to test him out as much as possible. So these guys have to get off the ball because there's going to be press man coverage. Get off, get to these holes where Ben Denucci can get to the ball to him quickly, and then these guys have to get some yak yards after catch. Catch a 3-yard catch, 2-yard catch, and turn it into a 30, 40-yard big play so that you don't have to apply that pressure on Ben to make those big throws down the field.
And even with the receivers, how imperative is it to get the tight ends going? Dalton Schultz had 2 catches last week, but really he was held in check in the loss as well.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part about playing tight end is you're kind of an extended offensive lineman, right? So when you're facing these teams and when your offense is struggling and these teams are going to continue to bring pressure, you are now part of that. You're attached at the hip to that tackle. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get out as much as they really want to. They're really going to be responsible for blocking and securing Ben Denucci in this game.
Cowboys offensively first in passing yards per game in the first 5 weeks of the season. The last 2, they ranked 31st in the losses against Arizona and against Washington. So they really need to see an uptick in that regard. Amari Cooper even spoke on that this week, keeping his confidence and keeping the confidence as an offense even through the struggles.
I mean, we're confident. You know, obviously we are coming off of 2 losses, do have some injuries, but you know, in that regard, it's the next guy. It's always the next guy up, and it's always about the next game. You know, and so I feel like that's the state we're in right now, and we understand. You know, it's professional football. You know, it's not gonna all be good, but it's all about the next game. It's all about winning that next one, and I just feel like that's where we at right now.
What's the foundation for the confidence?
I mean, for me, I just think, like I said, we've been doing this our whole lives. We understand, you know, the game comes with wins and losses, but it's in the preparation, you know. You prepare like you want to go out there and win, and it'll pay off.
Your thoughts on Darius Slay as a corner? You've seen him last year. Just your thoughts about what kind of ball player he is?
I think he's a great corner. You know, obviously he's a Pro Bowler. I think he's really sound in his technique. He's a speedster. He has good ball skills. I think, you know, all around, he has a great overall game.
Anything you could take from looking at him last year to this matchup that you could maybe use to your advantage?
I mean, he's just a tough matchup. But yeah, of course, we go out there and we watch film and we try to see if a guy has weaknesses and take advantage of it all the time.
While the Cowboys' offense has decreased in their value passing-wise over the last couple of weeks, Philadelphia has actually turned things around as an offense in terms of throwing the football. Carson Wentz has found a bit of a rhythm over the last couple of weeks. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Kyle Yeoman's with you. But you look at Carson Wentz, still 28th among 32 quarterbacks in terms of passer rating. But over the last couple of weeks, it's been much better. Close to 75 over the season. He's up near 85 in his passer rating through the last 3 weeks, and that's against teams like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and then last week in back-to-back big-time drives at the end of the game to beat New York. But even 10-10 touchdown-interception ratio, Barry, there's going to be opportunities to force turnovers against this Eagles offense. How does the defense capitalize?
We have to catch the ball. I mean, too many times this year we've seen the ball hit our defensive backs, our linebackers dead in the chest or dead in the hands, and it ends up hitting the ground for an incomplete pass. Look, Isaiah, you know this. Carson Wentz is a walking turnover. At least once or twice a game, he will throw the ball to the opposing team, hit him right in the chest. We have got to take advantage of that and pick the ball off. Give our offense a short field. And not only is he a turnover throwing the ball, in the pocket, he carries the ball like a loaf of bread. It's all loose. It's all over the place. So defensive line, don't just make the regular sack. Make the splash play. Make the special play and go in there and get a strip sack. If he takes off and running, take his head off and take the ball with it, because this guy will give you the ball. We just have to take advantage of it. Please, defense, bring home this W and take the ball away from this guy.
Was that white bread or wheat bread?
It was wheat.
It was wheat, okay.
Strong words from a defender. You can tell he's a former defender because he's throwing out these terms like that. He's very confident. I love it.
Jeez, Barry. Anyways, hey, listen up, man. One thing you guys, this defense has to do, don't remind Carson Wentz who he used to be. Do not allow him to build confidence. Let's not forget his history. He helped this team get to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, right? So let's not forget that this guy is still in there, right? He's in there. He's buried down deep inside. But don't be the team that helps him remember, oh, crap, I am a dude. Oh, I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the league, because we saw it last week. You can help guys build their confidence. Don't let this guy do it, because he knows exactly who he is. It just hasn't happened yet. So we need to play some sound defense, and in coverage, we have to be where we're supposed to be. That's what's killed us all year long. Guys not playing sound defense in terms of coverage, cover 4, cover 2, the most simplistic defenses you guys heard Mike Nolan last week. But this is high school stuff, fellas. Be where you're supposed to be, do your job, and make sure that your guys are there where they're supposed to be at.
1-3 is Carson Wentz in prime time against the Dallas Cowboys in the past. So you have had success against them, especially in prime time. This is also the first time that Carson Wentz has faced Dallas without Dak Prescott on the other sideline, which is kind of interesting to think about. It's going to be a Carson Wentz versus Ben Denucci matchup, but it's much more than Carson Wentz overall. You look at some of these matchups for the Cowboys, and Boston Scott is one I know a lot of Cowboys are going to have to hone in on. This is a guy who finds a way to utilize his athleticism a ton. But what do you think about what Boston Scott brings to the table overall?
I mean, this matchup right here scares me a lot. I'm already sweating up here just thinking about Boston Scott. I mean, this guy is a legit weapon out of the backfield. Not only can he run the ball great, but he's a great receiver out of the backfield. And we've seen what happens with our linebackers when we match up with those type of running backs who are great out of the backfield. We saw what J.D. McKissick was able to do last week when he was in one-on-one coverage with our linebackers. He was able to stick them, get separation, and get an easy first down. So for me, we're going to have to limit this guy's yards after catch and yards after contact. We can't let a 5-yard catch turn into a 35-yard gain. I mean, we got to swarm this guy, and we have to gang tackle this guy. But look, it's going to be a lot easier said than done, because this guy is extremely explosive out of the backfield.
Yes, he is. And he's little, right?
Yep.
He's little. And I said the term over there. I guarantee you, when he's watching film on this Dallas Cowboys defense, he's saying, ooh-wee, because he can't wait to get on this doggone field and go ham. I have a feeling that he's going to have a big game simply because of the fact he's a very versatile running back, right? He can come out the backfield and hide behind his linemen and pop out in these zones with all this misdirection, our linebackers not being able to find him. And then also as a receiver, right, we know our linebackers can't cover. They're just not cover. They cannot cover linebackers. They're more downhill guys. This guy is pretty quick. He's shifty. He's going to find his little zones. We need to keep an eye on him and somehow try to corral him.
Well, and New York showed you on film how you can slow him down. Held him to under 100 yards in that loss last week when Philly did take that 22-21 game. But communication and accountability are two huge things on that defensive side of the football. Jalen Smith talked about it this week. That was really the main point of emphasis throughout all of the defensive meetings this week.
I mean, it's definitely it's a situation that we wouldn't want to be in and don't want to be in. But when you talk about accountability, it has to be spoken about and it has to be brought up in film and meetings. And then from there, the correction process starts on the practice field. And, you know, we're watching film together and being able to hold your brother accountable when he does something wrong. You know, that's really what builds the character and the chemistry on everything that we're trying to do here with this defense.
with where you are defensively now, do you feel it's going to take a little bit of time to get to where you want defensively, or can the switch just be flipped at some point if all this comes together?
It's constant little things that leads to error. So for us, it's just about figuring out how can we tighten down on those little mental errors that that individually people are making, in a cohesiveness. That's really what it comes down to. It's something that it takes time, but we're 7 games in, I believe 7 or 8 games in, and that's a lot of time to go through those experiences. It's time to change it. It's time to change the narrative, and that's what we got our heads on.
Lots of pressure on that defense to perform today, even with some of the top-notch weapons out for Philadelphia. Miles Sanders, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey. We mentioned those guys earlier, but what are some of these matchups that scare you the most, Nate?
Hey, I'm going to go with Fletcher Cox, man. Number 91, big stud out of Mississippi. This dude will walk up on you. Watch out for him, man. Control Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, you worry about the big man. I'm worried about the little man. I mean, you know what I'm worried about? Scott. Okay, Scott is going to be in our face. He's going to be a little dude hiding behind guys like Nate, and he's going to pop goes a weasel on you, okay? Right. You need to be aware where this guy is at all times. And LVE, Jalen, please don't try to cover him man to man. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go back to the trenches. I'm gonna go back to the trenches with the big guys. I'm gonna go Terrence Steele versus Brandon Graham. Now, Brandon Graham, this is a beast now. He's been doing it for 10 plus years. He has a high motor. He gets after the guys in the run game. He gets after the guys in the pass game. So for me, I gotta see what you got, Terrence Steele. Don't let Brandon Graham embarrass you out there, please.
6 sacks. He got 6 sacks. Come on.
6 sacks tonight, or
he got 6 sacks. To this point.
Okay, I was just making sure you weren't making a prediction.
No prediction, no bold prediction.
We don't need an Atlanta game.
Yeah. Now, whenever it comes to Terrence Steele, you also look at the fact that you're going to have to help him out a little bit, and you're going to have to find some help off the edge. Dalton Schultz is one of those guys that's going to help chip off the edge of Terrence Steele and find a way to maybe slow down some of these pass rushers. Here's what he had to say heading into this matchup with Philly.
Well, we need to come in and we need to set the tone. I mean, we need to run the ball just like we do. These guys are really good up front. Their front four are great. Obviously they play a lot of man coverage, and so I think, to set the tone, we just got to get the ball rolling on the inside. And I think, we got guys that are up to the challenge. I look forward to doing that. I mean, Philly's a great team. This will be a great challenge for us. So.
You're on your 3rd quarterback this season. What are some of the keys to building chemistry and trust with Denucci in such a short time span?
Just extra reps. That's all it is. I mean, whether it be pre-practice, post-practice, just trying to steal extra reps here and there. The guy's gotten a ton of reps this week, a lot more than he usually gets. But again, I think it just goes back to the confidence thing. All he's got to do is sling it like he does. It's nothing different. We just got to keep going, making plays on the ball.
Do you ever take a step back and look at the roster and see all the injuries that have taken place and kind of, appreciate how much of that has happened this season and how much you guys are working to overcome that situation?
It's definitely a lot of adversity, but honestly, especially now in a place like this, you don't really have a lot of time to kind of sit there and look at the chart and go, feel sorry for yourself. At the end of the day, we got a game to win on Sunday, and we got to come out and perform just like we had those guys. So we just got to make it happen.
Can't be feeling sorry for yourself. At the end of the day, you got to come out and you got to win the game. That's what Dalton Schultz just said, and he's going to play a key part in this, especially against Philadelphia and what is a linebacking core that's a bit susceptible to the tight ends.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've been impressed with what Dalton Schultz has been able to do this year. I mean, he's been able to create separation from pretty much anybody that's been able to cover him. I thought going into the season it was going to be the Blake Jarwin show, and unfortunately he went down early in the year with an ACL, but Schultz has been able to come up here and been an impressive pass catcher, so I'm excited to see what he can do against his Philadelphia secondary.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do, but I don't know if they're going to allow for him to come out the dog off the line of scrimmage, right? I think he's going to have his hand in the ground, and he's going to be doing a little pass set with my big dog Nate over here. I don't see him getting out and running any routes today, hardly any routes, I should say. He's going to get out at some point in time, but he's going to need to be in that hip pocket, okay? He's going to need to protect Ben Denucci. That is number one priority today. Running routes is secondary.
Okay. But I believe this right here, that he will be able to get out because he hooked up with Terrence Steele for about 1,001, 1,002. Make sure he's secure. Then leak out there for Ben at the end. So when Ben's scrambling and moving and trying to get away from Brandon Graham, he just toss it over his head.
I like that. You have the kind of the back and forth, the balance here.
Yes.
You're going to need it to beat Philadelphia and also to need it to beat Philadelphia. It's going to be that running game. Nick Eatman has his player to watch.
Thanks, Kyle. And as I said earlier about Ben Denucci, the Cowboys are certainly going to try to give him as much help as possible, and his skill players can certainly help with that. One guy that I'm going to be looking for tonight is Tony Pollard. Now, I do think it's going to be a heavy workload for Ezekiel Elliott, but still, the Cowboys can keep Philadelphia off balance if they can use Pollard as a complementary player. He might even get a few snaps. We'll see if they do some wildcat. He's done that some in college. I could see them going east and west and try to utilize their speed a little bit. If you can get Tony Pollard involved, I think he could be good in the pass game. Those quick passes, some screens. I really have a feeling that Tony Pollard is going to have a role for this offense tonight. He could really help Denucci and the rest of that offensive line and the receivers if he can help move the chains and keep them out of third and long situations. And one way to do that is to pick up some positive yards on those runs and those quick passes. So the guy that I'm looking for tonight is Tony Pollard. Kyle, back to you.
We just mentioned it whenever it came to the makeup of this offense. I mean, if you can't get the tight ends going, one way you have some help out of the backfield in the receiving game is getting your tailbacks going, Nate.
And and the way they can do this to help the tackles too is Pollard can come out of the backfield, check on that tackle, either one. Just check, get a hand check, make sure the tackle's safe, then just roll out into the flat. Boom, catch another thing. Yeah, just give a hand check because a lot of times running backs be overzealous and knock a guy off into a sack. But just check him, get out, swing out into the flats, or swing out into to the middle of the field. It's called an option.
There we go.
No, I mean, very, very much so to Nate's point. I want to see these guys actually in a split back. I want to see these guys split back. I want to see Zeke and I want to see Pollard both back there. Reason being, you create a little bit of disadvantage. You put the linebackers at ease. They can't just come with their ears pinned back, right? We got my dog right here, Barry. He wants to come on a safety blitz, and I have split backs back here. He has to now be concerned not only about trying to create pressure, but if I decide to go out into a flat route, he has to take me. That's his responsibility, right? Whether it's a linebacker, whether it's a safety. So they have to pin their ears back, but they got to be a little bit chill because they also now have to worry about guys getting out in routes.
This is true. And Nate, man, you look kind of fluid out there. You might want to help this offensive line out here.
I took my Jared's this morning.
Oh, okay. I got you. But yeah, I think both of these backs, I think you make a great point. I think both of these backs need to be in the game, and they need to be that kind of security blanket. If Dalton Schultz is going to be in there helping chip on these tackles and helping on Brandon Graham and those boys, those two can be great security blankets for Ben Denucci. Use your legs, use these backs. Let's get a W.
You mentioned a security blanket for Ben Denucci. You have that in your wide receivers as well, especially with Michael Gallup. And this is a guy, of course, downfield threat, somebody who's sure-handed. He's had a couple drops over the last couple weeks. Here's what he said about the pressure going into this game of picking up his game.
I mean, I assume so. I mean, I would. I'd bring the whole house. Why not? But, I mean, we'll make up for it. It's all good. Not too worried about what they got going on. It's all about us and what we got in this locker room. So it's that's just how we're doing it.
Have you had to find any sense of frustration as an offense? I mean, the group was operating at such a high level when Dak was here before the injury, and you're so explosive, and you haven't really had that these last two games as you adjust. Has it been a difficult adjustment? Has it been a frustration as you kind of find out what your new level and your new pace is?
I mean, it's a little bit frustrating, yeah, because you can do a whole lot more, but the circumstances you just can't at the moment. You gotta regroup, get back right, and just try to grind it out. So I mean, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but you control what you can control.
Michael Gallup in need of a big game. Did not have a reception last week. Going to have to turn it around. And it's time now for our Oikos 000 strong keys to the game. Nate, who you got in terms of who you got to stop?
Beside my boy Michael Gallup going off for maybe about 200 yards.
That'd be great. Okay. That would be great.
Bold prediction. But let me tell you, Carson Wentz, the Eagles start and end with him. 10 turnovers. 10 TDs, 10 turnovers. If we can get him to turn that ball over twice and we don't turn it over, this is our game, baby.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to go with my most consistent one, and that is the LOS.
Yes.
Line of scrimmage, okay? Up there with the big boys roam, right? We have to control the offensive line. We need a presence up there. Reason being, we can't have Ben Denucci worried about pass protection, worried about trying to get out on the right, trying to throw the right routes, and worry about doggone pressure, right? And then on the opposing side of the ball, come on, D-line. They got rid of some of the dead weight. We need you fellas to come now.
Got to. You're right about that. For me, I'm going to go with he might be the smallest guy on the field, but he's one of the most explosive guys on the field, and that's Boston Scott. We have got to find a way to contain this guy. I mean, look, he's explosive. He's going to get his catches. He's going to have his runs, but we got to limit the yards after catch. We can't let him slither a 5-yard catch into a 35-yard gain. We can't have that done. Bottle this guy up and get this W.
Man, a lot of pressure on the defense to slow down Wentz, to slow down Boston Scott, and to find a way to control the line of scrimmage. It sounds easy. It's not really that easy, and it's going to be a tough one again for the Cowboys. Cowboys have won 4 of 5 against Philadelphia. However, the last time they were up at the Link, of course, that was the game that cost them a postseason berth in a division last year. So maybe a little bit of revenge on the mind here for the Dallas Cowboys. 7:20 kickoff on NBC. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth on the call. Thank you for joining us here over the last hour. We'll see you after the game. For Nate Newton, for Isaiah Stanback, for Barry Church, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you later.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, was brought to you by AT&T. SWBC Mortgage, financial solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit swbc.com. And by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Want to tour AT&T Stadium? For more information, call 817-892-TOUR or visit dallascowboys.com/tours.